Okay. Hey y'all, welcome back to another book-focused video. This one is going to be my October wrap-up, the 4 books. I only read 4 books, but that's pretty good considering it was a busy month and I read a whole trilogy, basically. Well, I finished a trilogy, fantasy trilogy at that. I am in my beautiful little Lovesac bookshelf reading nook, and I absolutely love it. I have a vlog that's going to go up after this video, I think, and I mentioned that I purchased a Lovesac and the IKEA Billy bookshelves, but I also filmed that. I filmed myself setting all of this up, and so that's going to be a different video. And I know that it's probably really unsatisfying to see a whole bookshelf practically empty, but honestly, I really underestimated the size of these Billy bookshelves. Like, I did not think they would hold all of my books. I thought I would need to for what I currently have, but I was mistaken. So that only means that I need to purchase more books so I can fill up my second bookshelf and complete the first one because it's not even done. But we'll definitely work on that. I am excited to fill things up, but I do still have a lot of books on my shelf that I have not read. And then there's quite a few that I actually want to get rid of, and that would be nice too, so that I can actually have the ones on there that I want to be on there. All right, so as for the books that I read in October, 3 out of the 4 are from the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed with myself that I even finished this trilogy, just because fantasy is not, I guess I would say I'm somewhat new to fantasy. Let me start with the rating. And I'm going to try to do on a 5-star rating instead of the 10 that I usually do. Okay, so I would say overall, God, I'm going to say for the whole series, it gets like a 2.5 out of 5. Maybe like a 2.75. Like, it was tolerable. Not the worst books I've ever read in my life, that's for sure. But it wasn't like, oh my god, I'm so excited to read these books because they're so good. I can't put them down. I need to find out what happens good, you know? Would I read them again? No. Would I be like, you need to read this? No. Are they worth reading? I don't know. Maybe. I'm going to say that they might be worth reading if you're going to go into the duology that follows, the Six of Crows and then Crooked Kingdom, which I have started this month. So that duology can actually stand on its own. You don't have to read the Shadow and Bone trilogy in order to read those 2 books, but I am actually glad that I read Shadow and Bone before going to those books because now I understand things already. The world that's in these books is the same world for the duology, and there's a lot of words that are introduced in these books, and they kind of break things down, or they kind of explain things throughout. Like, you really start to understand things as you go through the whole series. And I know that that's going to make the following 2 books, the Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, much easier to pick up on and understand. I've talked about these books a little bit before, but in the Shadow and Bone trilogy, we're focused on this girl, Alina. She is the main character, and she is like an orphan, and I think she draws maps or something. I'm trying to think back to the first book. It's been a long month, but honestly, I can't remember why they start this journey. They were going on some journey, and they had to cross through the Unsea or the Fold, the Darkness. It's basically this split through the country, which I can show y'all a photo of because they put it in every single book. So there is this map that's shown at the beginning of all of the books, and I actually kept referring back to this map, especially in this first book, because I was interested in seeing where they were going. And I think it was kind of fun to get into this world and just learn things about it. And basically this Unsea was created by this person, I forget what they call him. I don't want to spoil it. If I say who it is, I will ruin things, but this Unsea has these creatures called Volcra, and if you pass through there, they're going to attack you and kill you. And basically it has it's completely split through the country and has killed many, many people because the towns and the people fall into that darkness. So they're crossing through that in the first book, and then the main character Alina finds out that she has this power. She is the sun summoner, and basically can summon light and heat, like sunshine. And this is something that's really valuable and super, super rare. And so then she is taken to this place with this character. His name is the Darkling, and they begin to get really close because he is like, oh, our powers together, we can close the darkness, we can close the unsea, and we can build an army. I don't know. There's a lot of happenings in between all of the words here. She does a pretty good job of building up the world and developing the characters, but it's still nothing that's like super, super exciting. And in each of these books, so this on the front is the stag, and basically in order for her to amplify her powers, that's literally what they're called, the amplifiers. This is also an amplifier on the cover, and then this is the amplifier on the third cover. And if she kills these amplifiers, they're like powerful animals, creatures, whatever. I don't really love that because obviously, like, being a animal lover and vegan, I wouldn't promote that, but it's a story. I can get behind it. But if she kills them, then she amplifies her powers. And she has to put like the stag's antlers on her neck, and then this is like a sea creature, sea monster thing, and she wraps it around her wrist. And then the third one is this like fire bird. What is this one called? I don't remember. I'm so sorry. But basically, with each of these, there is a lot of back and forth. It's like, oh, she's good, and then something bad happens. And there's a lot of back and forth with each of them. There are a lot of characters that you're introduced to throughout these books, but they kind of, once you meet them all, you kind of can figure it out. The other really good thing is that there is a show on this series. So I was looking up what these characters look like in the show so that I could imagine things better. I actually was able to imagine a lot of the scenarios in these books. Like, I could see what was happening, and I thought that was something I wouldn't be able to do with a world like this. So I think she did a pretty good job of explaining everything, and even the characters. There's not much romance in this. There is a little bit of romance between her and a couple of people, but it's nothing like that. Like, it's nothing spicy. There's no spice in this whatsoever. The furthest it goes is like pushing up against each other is what I would describe. Honestly, y'all, I don't know if I like book sleeves because like it looks pretty in there, but I can't get this back in. And okay, there we go. There we go. There were parts in this series that I was like aghast or something. I was like, oh my god, because it was just like so unexpected, and I'd have to go back and read what I just read to make sure that's what I just read, because I didn't expect that at that part of the story. Like certain killings or certain battles or things that everything just would happen so abruptly. Like, we're just chilling there, and then there's like an all-out battle going on, which was interesting to come across. Those parts were entertaining. Like, when there were battles, which there are battles in every single book, sometimes a couple of battles, I found those parts to be much more interesting. The magic and the powers in general are pretty cool, so I think all of that is really interesting. The ending of this book, I was like, no, there's no way that it's gonna end like that. I think it did end pretty well, but overall, this is nothing that's like, you absolutely need to read this, but it wouldn't hurt to read them, you know, especially if you want to watch the series, and especially if you want to read the following duology. In between these books, I did only read one other, and that is Never Lie by Freida McFadden. I had purchased this book mid-October because I use the app Fetch. With Fetch, all that you do is like scan your receipts and you get points, and then once you reach a certain amount of points, you can redeem it for gift cards. And I was waiting to reach enough points to get a $25 Amazon gift card, and I was like, once I do that, I'm ordering books. Like, I was ready to go. And this was one of those that I purchased with that $25 Amazon gift card. I have heard really good things about Freida McFadden, and this has raving reviews. I have seen YouTubers talk about this and say that it's really good. I've seen on Amazon people say that it's really good. If you look up like Freida McFadden's best book, most popular book, this is up there. I'm giving this a 2.5 as well. I don't know. I was so disappointed in this. Like, I was expecting this to be really good just because of what I've heard about this author, but I have a couple of complaints. First of all, the book itself, it's extremely white, and I don't know why that is. Like, if you compare, like, I'm gonna grab any random book on here. Yeah, like, do you see the difference here? This is just a Pack Up the Moon, which I haven't read yet, but do you see the difference in the color? I don't like that. It's not easy on the eyes. Yeah, it's like pure white. Obviously, that has nothing to do with the writing, but did not love that. I just found the way that she writes to be really, really annoying. Like, it was almost... Let me try to find an example. Like, she's so obsessed with this fiance of hers, and she's like, oh, I'm so lucky. Like, the way her internal dialogue is just really, really annoying. Let me start by explaining what this book is about. Okay, so there's this couple, this recently married, I think. Yeah, they were recently married, and they go to this house because they're trying to buy a house, and it's like snowing, so they're having a hard time just getting to the house to begin with. But then they are waiting for their like real estate agent once they get to the house, or they think she's already in there, but the door is locked to get into the house. And there's literally a blizzard going on, so they're like, we can't drive back home, we're gonna have to stay here. And they find the key and they get into the house, and it looks like somebody is living there. There's like food in the kitchen, and there's like a footprint in the floor and stuff. And so the girl, like, has a bad feeling about everything, but they decide to stay there. They basically like have to. And then eventually she finds a bookshelf and pulls on one of the books, and then it opens up a door with all of these tape recordings. And this was the house of a psychotherapist who had actually gone missing a couple of years ago, and she was never found. And all of these recordings were her patients. And so she was recording the therapy sessions with her patients, kept them in a secret room. And then this girl, the recently married girl stuck in this house, starts listening to these tapes and getting really like into them. And then obviously from those tapes, we find out more about the story and what's actually going on, what actually happened to the psychotherapist and everything, because a certain person was blamed for her going missing in the first place. They suspected that person of murder, and then eventually we get down to the bottom of everything. So that's the gist of it, but let me read this to you. This is her thinking. Why, oh why did I buy a pair of stylish boots that have no ability to function as boots? I'm starting to deeply regret all of my life choices at the moment. My mother always said not to leave the house in shoes you can't walk a mile in. Like, it didn't help the story whatsoever. A lot of the stuff that she was writing, it just felt like something, like very surface level. They're talking about like looking through things in the house, and she was like scared to sleep at the house, so they were checking under the bed and stuff. And then again, to herself, she's thinking, I don't need him to check under the bed, but it wouldn't be a terrible idea to check the closet. I grab the shiny gold handle of a door near the bathroom and fling it open. It is, as I suspected, a walk-in closet. That's another luxury we don't have in our Manhattan apartment. Like, I just don't love it. Don't love it. Blah, blah, blah. I do a few stretches in the bed, then I force myself to get up. I walk over to the gigantic window near the bed and stare out at our surroundings. Oh my god, there's a lot of snow. Everything is covered in a thick blanket of white. Like, it's just so surface level that nothing... I can see what she's saying, you know, obviously that's not like anything crazy, but a lot of the words and details that she has in this book are almost just unnecessary, or like don't add to the point of the book. I did finish this in a few days just because it was a pretty easy read. Like, in how many pages? It's like 336 pages with pretty large font, and then it's like a small book in general. So for me, this was pretty easy to get through, and I was able to finish it quickly. And like, would I recommend it to read? No, not really. I did want to continue reading it just because I wanted to find out what was going to happen in the story, but the ending was kind of just unsatisfying. At one point, it became like, oh, this is what's happening. I didn't guess it entirely, but it wasn't enough of a twist to be like, oh my god, I'm mind blown type of thing. And this was not scary to me like that. Like, I didn't feel like I was on the edge of my seat, or like, there's sometimes I've read books, thriller books, where my heart is literally increased because of how scary it is, and that's not what I got from this. But yeah, overall I would give it like a 2.5 and would not pick this up to read again, I don't think. So yeah, I know not too much for me to go over this month, but that's what I was able to read in October. I'm sad to say that October was a pretty disappointing book month, but no matter what, I still love it. Like, I don't care. I don't regret that I read these books, and I think, you know, it's just an experience to go through. So that is everything for October. Feel free to share what you read this past month or what you are currently reading. But otherwise, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one.